Hey BoLS fans, Adam Harry here with another Retro Corner review. This week we have the second part in our multi-part series going over the Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader book. You can see the link to the part 1 right here in the description. I'll put a link on the page too. But yeah, this part I wanted to go over some of the equipment that's still around in the 40k era, and also some of the stuff from the past. See what's still around, see what's changed, and kind of discover some fun gems. So let me stop stalling and jump right in. When we last left off with our Rogue Trader story time here, I left off on this page, which was the Battle at the Farm page. So what this was the first gaming scenario that GW had included in one of the books, which for Rogue Trader. So what this actually is, if you have read Wren's World at all, say that 4 times fast, you probably know about this battle already. This is the first scenario that was about the Crimson Fists going to the farm to save the survivor, the mom and the 2 kids, and some other stuff here. But this is the original scenario. You can see here the basic diagram, basic layout here. But it actually goes into the Orc warband and also Pedro and his boys. Beginning of the game, end of the game, all that. This is the actual scenario, but the GM brief back here again, game is played with 2 players and a GM. It actually talks about Pedro Cantor, leader of the Crimson Fist Space Marines, and fighting the Orcs, and just all that goes down. Your victory points here. Well, +1 for the Marines for each surviving Marine Trooper. Commander Cantor survives. All Orcs slain. All Orcs slain or routed. For the Orcs, each surviving Orc, Hruk survives, which is one of the big Orcs. Thrug survives, treasure recorded, Marines all slain or routed, situation communicated to the base. So again, that was the warning shots back to the Orcs, like, hey, there's some Marines running around. But it's kind of cool. I read Wren's World about a year or 2 ago, and kind of made me want to play Crimson Fist, but I already had a bunch of other stuff. But this is that story, and I was flipping through the section. I was like, dude, this is the story. This is the original fluff piece about that, so kind of cool. So yeah, next up, equipment. Yeah, so first up in the weapon sections, weapon profiles, goes over the basics here. The technical level basically was how smart you had to be to use it successfully. It goes over unfamiliar equipment, some side effects, stuff like that. Larger weapons, but it goes over the basic, class of weapons. Basic weapons, close combat weapons, heavy weapons, very heavy weapons, which is like a heavy weapon but bigger, and grenades and shells and stuff like that. And then of course they love their charts, so if you wanted to randomly determine what weapons you had, you have a basic chart there. Heavy weapons, close combat weapons, all that fun stuff. On this page goes over all of the different grenades, very heavy weapons, which are like defense lasers, the macro cannon, the really big plasma cannon, support weapons, barrage weapons, stuff like that, plasma bombs, scatter missiles, stuff like that. I do want to point out a couple of things here in the grenade section, and I'll actually go over this more, but crack was actually spelled like crack and not with a K. They actually have choke grenades, all this different stuff. They still had rad grenades back then. They also have hallucinogen gas, so fun stuff. One thing I do want to call out here is that the picture of the original Gravitron gun wasn't the same as it is now, I suppose. But grav weapons worked a lot different. They made you slower and added mass, and didn't really work the same way. But again, mechanically, the old school flamers with the canisters look like big paint sprayers. Bolter hasn't changed too much. Maybe the handle and the clip are a bit farther back, but the Bolter iconic weapon hasn't changed much. Pretty awesome. Some more awesome 80s artwork here, so yeah, good times. The Melt-A-Gun, muskets, needle gun, so all that stuff. The needle gun, I think that's still in the Inquisitors can use that stuff. Muskets, not so much anymore. Melt-Gun, the good old Melta with the extendable stock there. Flipping through some others. This one caught my eye. I had to ask Big Red what exactly this was. This was the original Shuriken Catapult. Looks kind of like a spaceship, but yeah, if you look at it, that's the it had the ammo here on top. It had the two fins that go to the side, and then if you really think about it, the modern version of the Shuriken Catapult is a lot like this. This would be extended out further, and then they have got that piece, that kind of the triangle piece. So you can kind of see it. It's a bit of a stretch, but you can kind of see their early designs. But yeah, that weird frisbee looking disc thing was the ammo, and it's definitely changed over time. So thought that was kind of cool. Other stuff, you know, antique pistols, a flintlock pistol, auto pistols, plasma gun, which I'm I miss this old shape of a really big rounded thing, but I'm definitely glad that they changed it. So it looks silly. Power weapons and stuff like that. Force swords, half weapons, flamer. I'm just gonna pause and let you guys be in awe of these awesome 80s drawings here too. So this guy looks like he's based off of Chuck Norris and something else. So I like that the two humans are hanging out with an orc for the warband stuff. So yeah, mix and match. This page is pretty sweet. It's got some throwback stuff, a couple of nods from the current edition. I wanted to show first off the Neural Disruptor. That was the old Harlequin weapon there. It's a big crystal gun, so it's pretty sweet. And also the Jokero digital weapons. So it fits on your finger and it blows stuff up. So pretty cool. When they brought those back with the last Grey Knight book, I thought that was pretty sweet. I was like, oh yeah, those guys. So yeah, they're from day one, the big monkey dudes. So there you go. Plasma pistol, iconic weapon there too. Moving on. I love that the stub gun that's a 911. That's a Colt 911. I don't care how much you want to say it's not. The stub gun was just 45. So there you go. The Power Glove was the original incarnation of the Power Fist. You can see here it's just like a big iron gauntlet with power field around it, so pretty sweet there. And then a picture of one of the original Rogue Traders. Got like a little Boba Fett helmet too, so he looks very angry with his bolt pistol in his chair, so watch out. Wanted to point out one other thing on the heavy weapons page here as well. Conversion beamer. Conversion beam projector was what it was originally called, and it works, or theoretically, it worked a lot like the fluff says, where it is a big beam weapon and it converts matter. The farther out it does go, the more damage it does. So that hasn't changed too much mechanically. It has changed a lot, but yeah, fluff-wise, it's been the same. Big D cannon here, distortion cannon. Doesn't look very Eldar-y from this picture, according to the stuff now. But I mean, that was pretty mind-blowing back in the day. Some other cool weapons here. So. And if you notice too, a lot of these have that weird kind of the shoulder slung heavy bolter, heavy mount, the old school rocket launcher, not even a missile launcher, just a rocket launcher with the big triangle tip and the fin in the back, and for some reason all that stuff. Heavy web gun, the heavy stub gun, also just throwback to like a modern day firearm. So it's nice to know that those weapons made it to all the way to the 40th millennium, if you ask me. It's kind of cool. So, fun stuff. Moving on here, these are the very heavy weapons page. You've got the multi-laser, big stuff. Actually, this is just a multi-laser. Multi-melta, old school. Still got the dual barrels. Las cannon, again, shoulder mounted. Yeah, very heavy weapons. You got the big plasma cannon. And then I noticed this too. I don't know, I'm gonna try to zoom in here and show you guys. That says Marco cannon. Up here, macro cannon. So again, 1987, GW, history of awesome typos. So everybody complains like, oh, can't get this right. Well, they haven't been getting it right since the beginning. So what do you expect now? I'm just saying, have fun with it. And then more awesome 80s artwork. The Wasp, the Eldar Wasp. I mean, the jump pack troops that Forge World did a while back. Forge World has awesome history of going back into the old school stuff, finding stuff that is old and forgotten about and making it new again. But those are probably the inspiration. So pretty sweet. The last one went pretty long, so I'm going to try to knock out the grenades and missiles section pretty fast. So stick with me here. A couple things I want to call out. Again, crack spelled with a CR, C-R-A-C-K, not K-R. So there you go, crack. Blind grenades, all that fun stuff. Hallucinogen gas. Still had the chart, crazy chart. It was actually a 1 to 10 chart. Not as crazy as some of the stuff, but still pretty wonky. Over here, rad grenades is still in the game. They don't change your initiative like they used to, so, or like they do now, I guess. But the old school ones were quite different. So yeah, some of those things are still in the game, pretty cool. Strum gas, tanglefoot grenades, toxin gas, virus grenades, virus shells, bad times there if you got hit by that stuff. So you better have a ventilation thing. Moving on to vortex weapons, were still, that was something that they created for Rogue Trader. And it had the cool D10 chart again, where the grenade not only can get bigger, but it can also actually split into 2 fields of equal size, and then you roll again for each. So pretty sweet stuff. They also had mines and support weapons, and then of course your close combat weapon, or your weapon summary, excuse me, of close combat weapons, heavy weapons, all that fun stuff in the chart form. So pretty fun stuff. Randomly, it's a color page too. So there you go. Vehicle profiles, I'm going to go through this again pretty fast because the last review took a while. So pretty standard stuff there. You've got your max speed, acceleration, all that stuff. We talked about it last time with the turn radius, TRR, stuff like that. A lot of people commented about the mint condition of the book that is in. It's actually not. It's actually been well loved, but I tried to show off some of the better pictures. That's why, the magic of editing. Anyway, more color stuff here. This is pretty cool. It just talks about different crawler vehicles here, and then also sand crawler. I wonder where they got that idea from. Jawa, what? Moving on, jump packs. I wanted to show off this cool picture. These jump packs are massive. The shoulder pads here. I just want to show this off more. Look at those shoulder pads. You thought Warcraft was bad, man. And the giant jetpack turbines in the back, I mean, they're just straight up massive. So the art scale has definitely gotten better in my opinion, but you got to appreciate the craziness of the old stuff. So vehicles, they had stuff for flyers. One thing I want to point out, most of the stuff was scratch built. They had rules for it, but they did not have actual flyer models and stuff like that. Same deal with most of the stuff. The only real vehicle kits they had were land speeders and the juggernauts later on. Old school, dreadnought armor. They talk about landing pods. They didn't have drop pod models since forever, but they did have rules for landing pods and stuff like that. I guess they wanted to use Hot Wheels, but for some other things. Typical tracks and stuff like that. Tanks and all that fun stuff. This is one of the pages I want to show off too. This was the original Land Raider picture model that they built. Rumor has it that this was actually a scratch-built model that somebody had built specifically, to play with, but also to show off in this book. Scratch-built model. They built the original Land Raider kit off of that model. So they pulled it apart, made it plastic, and then mass produced that kit. So that's the old school Land Raider. I kind of like that old school vibe. I don't know how you would fit Terminators in there. It looks kind of awkward now, but man, back in the day, that was a beast to see, come rolling at you from across the field. So pretty sweet. That's the original speeder model as well. They made a metal version of that later, but yeah, the open cockpit, the 2 guys on the side, guns kind of hanging off wherever. So good times there. In this section, I went over the armor profiles. Again, random chart if you want to generate different types of armor. You had your carapace armor all the way down through stasis fields and stuff like that. Primitive armor, modern armor. But what I love about this page is this diagram here, this whole section going over what Space Marine armor is and what it looked like and all the different things, all the different little details inside. Super awesome to talk about the different mesh and how it's honeycomb pattern, but also just random technical readout stuff here, ammo clip stuff, retractable spikes in the boots, and they had magnetic soles. So that's how Space Marines could fight, in whatever terrain, on the top of a spaceship flying through space, or in mountainous terrain. They just popped out the spikes and started walking. So pretty awesome stuff. But again, just the technical details. The mouth, the head, the mouthpiece. Again, beaky helms all around. So pretty sweet stuff. These sections were the pages that were kind of falling out, literally. So I'm gonna try to be gentle with these, but. Anyway, robot profile, going through that stuff. We talked a little bit about robots in the last one. Here's some illustrations of the robot they were talking about. You can kind of see, you know, in this picture specifically, kind of an early Necron feel, but honestly, these things look more like the hunter killers from Terminator, or you know, something that you might see in Star Wars. So pretty crazy, like droid style inspiration there. More awesome art, more falling apart pages here. They go back over the Dreadnought stuff, talk more about the Dreadnought armor, so typical Dreadnought suit, stuff like that. Wanted to go over this last section too with Bionics. That's still in the game, came from this era. They talk about you can randomize how old the guy is, basically, how big of a hero he was, how much is replaced, excuse me, and yeah, just different stuff there for Fire Bionics. And you could even have artificial lungs as well as artificial legs and ears and eyes and stuff like that. So full on, you know, stuff. If you want to roll for miscellaneous equipment, you could randomize it. Fun times there. But yeah, jump packs. This whole section just goes over all of the different equipment that you could get: flight pack, gravity chute, you know, pretty much everything you can think of in the game. Stimulants, targeters, fun times. So yeah. Anyway, that's where I want to end. Come back next week. I'm going to go over, start with at least, in the next part of the review, the Age of the Imperium. So again, this is Adam Harry. Going to cut it there, so hopefully keep it kind of short this time. Adam Harry for BoLS, signing off for Retro Corner Review. Have a good one.